Welcome to Going Beyond, and thank you very much for joining us once again on this show. I'm so happy that you have joined us today. Now, my guest today is Zhayynn James. He's a landscape architect by profession, National Geographic wildlife photographer, a fourth dan in karate. So he's a bit of a deadly guy, but he's here today to talk about his very first book, a copy of which is right here. It's called 𝗵𝗵𝗆𝗃. And I'm going to ask him to start by telling me, first of all, a little bit about the title itself. Zhayynn, I want to thank you for being here, first of all. Let's start by just asking you, the keeper of the wells. What well? Keeper who?
Right. Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
It's my pleasure.
And the keeper of the wells is because my family was involved with the 7 wells of Madras for 125 years.
Where are these 7 wells? What are these 7 wells?
In
really
Georgetown.
wells?
Yeah, actual wells.
Okay.
So they were the first piped water supply in India.
Okay.
And these were done in 1772. And from 1800 to 1925, my family was put in charge. They were the custodians or the keepers of the wells for 125 years on account of something that my ancestor had done during the late 1700s.
What was it he did?
This was around the time of the Second Anglo-Mysore War, when Hyder Ali had raided Madras. And my ancestor, John Nicholas, was responsible for protecting the wells. And what he did was obviously so great, because it's only mentioned as to the fact that he was responsible. They didn't say what it was that he had done, but it was a great deed. The fact that they made an appointment to him and his descendants for 125 years.
That's amazing, you know. So you come from the Nicholas family?
That's right. I'm a Nicholas on my mother's side.
Okay. What kind of drew you to be so interested in the history of your family, history of the wells? I'm curious.
So as a kid growing up, you know, we were a really large family, and usually certain stories come up at certain occasions. And unfortunately, these stories would come up at funerals. So, you know, the eldest generation passing away, and then I, as a kid, and a lot of others standing around between the knees of the elders, and then watching while a funeral
is in progress.
is in progress. And then hearing the elders talk about, oh, the Nicholas, oh, look at this gravestone. Oh, that Nicholas, I wonder if he was the one who escaped from Ireland. And, you know, these are the little things that catch your attention. And then a few years would pass and there would be another funeral. And then the same story would repeat. And every time I heard this, I was like, how is it that everybody knows these things, but no one's putting it together? And when I grew older, and I realized that with my generation, you know, my cousins and I were about 20 of us. We were the last of that generation, because the next generation after that, my mom's generation, was the last one of large families. And then my generation were all nuclear families. And people started moving away to different countries. And you know that the next time there's a funeral, you're not going to even get half that number. And then these stories stop being told. And I wanted to find out, you know, what is the story about the Nicholases and about the 7 wells that I kept hearing about? And there were these, oh, we think his name was, you know, maybe he changed his name when he came and he escaped from Ireland. And he was once imprisoned in a fort and he escaped with a map of the fort etched on his thumbnail. So these are, you know, when you hear stories like this, it just fires the imagination.
You want to tell them, really,
but I couldn't stitch things together. And it was at the passing of my grand aunt, Kitty, who's also mentioned in the book, by the way, that I decided that I have to photo document what's happening. Firstly, with all the graves at St. Roch's Cemetery in Roypuram, and use that as the sort of basis to then sit with my aunts and uncles and grandmother and start noting things down and start trying to put things into some sort of chronological order.
Right. So members of my family are all buried in St. Roch's, in fact. But what I'm really curious to know is, the wells supplied water to the British at that time, or what?
Correct. So Hyder Ali had raided Madras twice. One was early in 1769, and that ended up with the Treaty of Madras. And what the East India Company realized at that time was, when he raided, that they were seriously on the back foot, because there was no protected water supply.
Right.
So the water used to be carted in from tanks and lakes. And they decided, Captain George Baker had proposed that he would sink a series of wells, provide water to Fort St. George and parts of what was then called Blacktown. And that was built in 1772, and it was protected within the Blacktown wall.
Right. So your book, is it history? Is it fiction? Is it fact? Or is it adventure or what?
So it's historical faction to
Faction
borrow
meaning fact?
fact and fiction, a portmanteau that the late preeminent historian Mr. Muthaiya had coined, because essentially the story is built around the framework of history, which is fact, right? The fact that there was the East India Company, the Seven Wells, the Second Anglo-Mysore War. The fiction would be on the side of my family because we knew of John Nicholas. We knew that he had done something, but who he was before that, what were the circumstances that brought him to Madras, what were the circumstances that led to him being given that appointment, was the fiction that I had to weave in.
Why would they have given him that appointment? He was a bit of a maverick, wasn't he?
He was, so that these are the stories that we heard, right? There was a bit of a maverick, and that he was, as they quote in one of the books, so Maulani had written a book about him called A Book of South India, in which he calls him a desperate character, which is a very kind term.
Quite a colorful person, wasn't he?
So here we're filling in, adding a little touch of color and to the person. But I guess it was, for me, an arc of redemption of who he was when he left Ireland, the circumstances under which he left Ireland, came to India, and then there was this arc of redemption through which he redeemed himself and saved essentially Madras and the British.
Okay, he kind of made a name for himself then in that particular area.
Yes.
But so now you are looking to me to be a historian, but yet your primary occupation is as a landscape architect.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask, where do these things fit in? You do karate, and you're a wildlife photographer, a very prominent one at that. So where's the time for all this?
I keep asking myself that question.
Answer me then.
Being a landscape architect is a full-time profession.
Of course.
I travel a lot. I'm a second-generation landscape architect. I've done my bachelor's in landscape architecture from the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. And I joined the family business ever since then. And the wildlife interest was always there. I always loved animals. I was born and raised in 𝗵𝗵𝗆, which today is a completely different kettle of fish.
Must have been a wilderness at that time.
It was a wilderness.
I'd imagine so.
Birds and in the monsoons, the lakes would fill, the ditches would have fish in it, and snakes and frogs. And so I grew up with that environment. So nature was always second nature to me.
Yeah.
And as I grew older, the connect with wildlife kind of came back. And then it was in 2013 that my wife decided to gift me a DSLR camera.
Oh.
And we both loved wildlife, and we decided, okay, I wanted to learn photography. And then that kind of clicked together, the wildlife photography and wildlife tours. And then I just pursued that passion.
So just briefly tell me, in your pursuit of wildlife photography, is there any particular animal that you like to cover, or is it just, just big game? Is it birds? Is it what?
I'm not picky. It depends upon where I go. So there are places I go which are only about birds. There are places like Africa that's predominantly, large mammals, but birds as well. My favorite animal is the leopard. I love leopards.
Okay.
But I'm not picky. I'm more about what opportunities I could make photographically than what subject I'm shooting.
Yeah. You need to be very patient to be a wildlife photographer, don't you?
Extremely.
Are you?
Wildlife photography has taught me patience.
Okay.
I'm not naturally patient.
I'm going to check that out with your wife right here after this interview. So now tell me about what's this I was reading about wildlife hides that you do. What is it? What does it mean?
Okay, so a wildlife photography hide is essentially, well, look at it this way. When you go on safari, you get in a vehicle and you drive around to where the animals are.
Yes,
You go looking for them. A hide is the reverse. You create an environment. Usually it's a water hole that you create, and there's a bunker or there's a building that's hidden, and then the animals are drawn to the water. So you're in one place and you're photographing them essentially at eye level. There have been quite a few hides in India, but I'm the first professional wildlife hide designer in India. So my work has been covered in Condé Nast as well.
Oh,
and,
interesting. Do you have a lot of people who come and go to those hides? Are there that many people who are interested in wildlife photography.
Very much so. Especially photographers love hides because they get, firstly, you don't usually get that close to an animal, and you're getting down to eye level with the animal. So when they're drinking water or they're bathing, and you're shooting down at eye level with them. So it's a very intimate sort of experience.
Right. Is it safe for these photographers to be down there at eye level? I mean, with a tiger or anything big game. How does it work?
It's a fairly safe environment because the hide is a fortified structure, so they're safe inside. And design-wise, you've got to make it dark and things like that, so that it's less intrusive. The animal, of course, they have a fantastic sense of smell inside,
Absolutely.
so they know you're there, but they see you as part of the structure, so they're not particularly worried about you, and they've come for the water. So that's it's usually in summer that the animals are really drawn. So it's their need for water to bathe and drink, and it overrides their sort of fear or their any sort of qualms that they may have that there are people around.
Right. Of course, the Condé Nast is very well read, travel magazine for people. So which are the most type of people who come there actually for your hides? I mean, is it mostly people who are from outside of India, or do you find that a lot of Indians too are beginning to pursue this?
For the most part, the people who visit these hides are Indian tourists and Indian photographers. There are foreigners as well who come in. As a wildlife photographer, I know how interested wildlife photographers tend to be, and these people spend money, good money, to go and do these sort of tours where there are wildlife hides.
You're making it very easy for the wildlife photographer, I believe. I do believe, listening to what you're saying. Do you think that's right? Don't you think they should be struggling a bit, to actually get these beautiful animals on camera and photograph them?
There's a lot more patience involved in a hide because
Really?
you have no control. Whereas if you go on a safari and you wait in a place for 10, 15 minutes and say, oh, there's nothing here, you can drive to point B or point C. Here you have no choice. You have to wait. It's completely dependent on whether the animal chooses to arrive at the hide.
To come to you, in a way, really.
So this is...
So within our area, I mean, where are the hides that you have? Tell me.
So I've done a few hides for individuals, one of whom is Anil Kumble, the former captain
Cricketer.
of the Indian cricket team. And I've done for a couple of lodges in Madhya Pradesh and in Maharashtra. And I'm currently working with one of the forest departments to develop a hide. I can't get too much into it. It's still a work in progress.
What about outside of India? What about in Africa? Is it something that is prevalent in Africa? Do they do this kind of thing in that continent?
That's actually where some of the best hides are.
Because of the animals?
Because of the animals.
Okay.
And there's a lot more relaxation in terms of rules. So they're a little bit more forward thinking with the forest departments and the rangers. So there are fantastic hides in Kenya and in South Africa and places like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Do you travel to Africa very often?
It used to be twice a year. Then post-COVID, it's not that often, but yes, I do.
Right. You're also fourth Dan in karate. I mean, black belt.
So this is
tough
something
guy.
that
I better watch it.
No, it's kind of the other way around for me. It really helps me to calm down, focus my energies. But this is something I've been doing since the age of 12. And with my travel and stuff like that, when I went away to study, I stopped and then I came back and then reconnected. So it's been a long journey. But the style of karate that I do is the one that features in, current people would know 𝗵𝗵𝗆 Miyagi-Do karate. So that's actually my school. It's Shoreikan.
Yeah. Do you teach?
Oh. I am an instructor as well. I am a sensei.
Oh, wow. Okay, I know that word. Let me go back to where I started in your book. I mean, The Keeper of the Wells, it looks like a very interesting book. How is it doing? It's just come out, hasn't it?
It's just come out. But I've been tracking the sort of reviews and sales and stuff like that. So we've had quite a few good reviews. A lot of people overseas have been picking up the book as well.
Interesting.
Both in people in Canada, in the US, in Australia, and in the UK.
I was at your launch the other day, which I found extremely interesting. Did it do well at the launch itself? Did a lot of people pick it up? I saw a couple of ladies with 5 and 6 copies, and they said that I asked the lady, and she said, we're going to send it as gifts to our friends. So does this mean it's going around the world then?
It is going around the world. In fact, that was one of the conversations my wife Vaishali and I had as to how many books should we bring. And we said,
how many did you bring?
We brought 25, and then they sold out in no time, because exactly like you said, there were
Yes.
people who bought 4 and 5 copies,
Yes.
and we were not expecting that. We thought people who hadn't already bought the books, maybe 5 books would sell, and then that was a really nice surprise.
And you must have loved that. That
Oh,
was really
absolutely.
something, because I do know that your wife was pretty instrumental in this whole book coming out. So what got into her to bully you to do this?
So the first thing is that, what I love about her was the fact that she bought into the family
Right.
story. She really felt it. And about 10 years ago, I told her I'm going to start writing a novel, and I started with a prologue. And then I said, oh, I'll get back to it. I've got to do this. I've got to do more research. I found reasons to keep putting it off. And then 10 years passed. And then last year, on my 49th birthday, she said, I want to publish this book for you. So you're going to have to finish it in time for me, because I've already spoken to the publishers. I've done this, that, done all of these things. Now you've got to finish the book.
Right.
And
She
so that
provoked
was,
you.
she
Serious
absolutely
provocation
did.
took
Yes.
place there. When you were actually writing the book, you did have to do a tremendous amount of research. Was that exhausting for you? Because, I mean, you just seem to me that you're such a busy guy. You're doing so many different things. I often wonder where busy people like you get the time to do 2 or 3 or pursue so many different avatars, really.
It did take up a lot of time. And well, a lot of the stuff initially was on the internet, looking through certain ancestry websites and things like that. But there was also a lot of legwork. So going to some of the churches to find the original records. For example, I found a lot of our records in St. Mary's Co-Cathedral on Armenian Street, and they were very kind to allow us access to the original records. I don't think they'd allow that anymore because of some incidents that have happened in the past. But there was that, and then there was also traveling to London to research at the British Library.
Were they, cooperative?
Very cooperative. They have a fantastic system. But the only thing is, it depends upon how much time you have. And then, you're spending a lot of time in the library, and you get there by 9:30 in the morning, you leave by 5 in the evening, and spending a week in London and seeing nothing but the British Library for, on
That's
3 or 4
something.
trips, quite something. But it can get frustrating at the end of the day when you're trying to find a particular record or a reference, and you're not finding it, and your days are drawing shorter and shorter, and then you're starting to flip through pages trying to find it.
Yes.
That could be the
Got to get this
frustrating.
done right now.
Yeah.
So it's your first book.
Yes.
When is the second book?
Well, that's a good question. I'm soaking in this first book first. It still hasn't hit me at some level.
You're enjoying
I'm enjoying it.
the adulation? Is there a sense of satisfaction along with the adulation that comes with doing something like this?
It is definitely a sense of satisfaction. Adulation, I'm uncomfortable with, for some reason. I appreciate it. I just don't know how to respond
To
well
handle
to
it. Celebrity
so-
status.
Oh, see,
Celebrity
these are the
is at the door now for you. It literally is right there now. You've got to learn to deal with that, because obviously you're going to be taking this book to other places, I'm sure.
Yes.
What about Amazon? Are you going to put it onto Amazon?
So it is available
It is on Amazon?
on Amazon worldwide. Yes.
Okay. Has it started selling on Amazon?
Yes. So most all the international sales have been through Amazon.
Oh, really? That's wonderful. So second book, question again?
Maybe. I would have to start, wrapping my head around. I have the bare bones of a story in mind. Again, this is a family-based thing, but not the Nicholases. This would be something else. Again, coming from a family with a lot of different sort of influences, there is a story that I'm looking to possibly, enlarge and then get more
together.
details and then put down into a book.
Of late, I'm seeing quite a lot of Anglo-Indian productions coming out, Anglo-Indian writers thing. I mean, where suddenly we're seeing this little mushrooming of Anglo-Indians actually writing books, but they're all primarily about the history, of the community or what happened with their families. And I think that's quite a healthy thing. What do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I think, to get in touch with your roots, to know where you're going, it really helps to know where you come from. And I think, especially with the Anglo-Indian community, that's
Dwindling, really.
one of, on one side you talk about communities that are fastest growing, it's the
Yes.
fastest dwindling community.
I know, yes.
So getting out there and putting these stories out there of our past, of what it means to us, of how integrated we are with the fabric of a city or the country is very important, especially today where people, 15 years ago when you said Anglo-Indian, most people knew. Today if you say Anglo-Indian, like 2 out of 5 people would be like, what's that? They don't even know what that term means anymore.
That is right, yes. I want to switch back again to the landscape architecture that you do. Explain that to me.
Right. So as a career landscape architect, for me, so landscape architecture, if I was to put it in lay terms, if architecture is the building, the structures, landscape architecture is the space around those buildings and those structures. So it's developing gardens, walkways, pavilions, water bodies, swimming pools, all of that sort of things that goes around the built environment. So this is my 26th year now as a landscape architect, really big clients. So Infosys, for example, is a client. We've been working with them for about 20 plus years. So the good thing about landscape architecture is that every project is different. Whether you're doing it for a developer, you're doing it for an IT park, you're doing it for a university, the requirements are completely different. So you're tailoring it to that environment, to the needs, and it's fun.
Right. And over the years, I mean, just as a layperson, when you're going down the street, you do sort of tend to immediately get attracted to something that's pretty to look at, that's a good architecture outside of the building itself. Do you think that is very important, that the landscape around a building is essential generally for the business, or do you think that's a good thing?
Absolutely. And if you watch over the past 10, 15 years, builders, if I use them as an example, earlier builders used to talk about how many square feet and what the amenities inside the house was. Today, they hardly even talk about that. They only talk about what's in the landscape, how many amenities there are in the garden and how many trees are planted and how many species of this and what features. So it's the garden that sells more than...
So have you got a lot of clients around India, Zhayynn?
Primarily in India. And so at this point, I'm handling about 40 projects.
That's huge. That's huge. Many of those are in Chennai or outside?
So it's Chennai, Bangalore, some in Hyderabad. So it's kind of all over the place, but predominantly Bangalore and Chennai.
Why did somebody tell me that you concentrate on swimming pools? I wanted to know.
So that is an offshoot of the landscape business. So we design with a lot of water, so water bodies and swimming pools. Again, working with developers, virtually every project requires a swimming pool, even some of the IT parks that we worked with. So the swimming pools was kind of an extension of the landscape business.
You've got a little connection here with the water, I think.
With the water, yes.
I think it comes from the wells.
Yes, you nailed it.
Let me ask you about the wells. I mean, there were 7 wells. Which part of our city were those wells in? And is there any well left? How many wells are left?
So while the name is the 7 wells, funnily enough, they were actually 10 wells. I think maybe when it was proposed, it was called the 7 wells scheme, and then 10 were made. And so the property is on the corner of Old Jail Street and Mint Street in Georgetown.
In Georgetown.
It still exists. It's under the purview of the garrison engineer at Fort St. George, so you don't have public access to it. And when I had gone in 2019, I was fortunate enough to be able to go inside one of the last well houses and take some photographs. And they said most of the wells are now defunct, and that one well was still tapping water and then sending it to the fort.
Right.
And I hope that's still the case.
Right. You just said well house. So that means that these wells are actually enclosed, or what?
Yeah, so they're underground, and so there's a structure, and then it's very, early, late 19th century, early 20th century British equipment that's still there.
Are they very big? Is this well
Quite
one
large.
well?
Yeah, it's quite large, yes.
Really? So as somebody who's interested in this kind of thing that we're talking about, if I went there tomorrow, I would have no access to it, right?
No access, yeah. They will turn you away at the gate.
Oh, really? So can you stand outside and look at it, or no?
So this goes inside the compound. You can't actually look. Earlier it was, they shifted the gate. So earlier there was a gate where you could actually stand and look through and you could see a couple of these structures, but now you'd actually have to enter from the side and then you can't
So
actually.
typical, stand out here and imagine what's behind
That's
this
right.
wall. That's a bit of a pity because I
It
really
is.
think that if this was in any other country, I think they'd have made a big tourist attraction of the place itself, you know.
I think maybe that could still be done because
Really?
it's integral to the history
I,
of
I,
the city
I do
of India. I
believe.
mean, the first piped
I,
water supply in India.
I do
So,
believe, you know, that these are the things that people should hear about Chennai itself. How many members of your family are still alive?
well, extended as in with my mom's generation and all of us cousins, we're about 35 of us, 40 of us. But then there's the extended
Right.
cousins that we
But tell
found.
me something. Your own family, the Nicholas family, are they excited about the book?
Extremely excited.
Really? How
So
nice.
the excitement started when I was doing, the family tree history, and they were excited then. And then now talking about the fact that there's a book out, everyone's absolutely thrilled about it, and
I,
that's a very satisfying
I
feeling.
think that's wonderful. I think your family itself is ready for another book, you know.
Ah,
I may not be about their family, but at least
yeah,
another book. So you're the first time author in your generation probably, or in your entire family.
I think so.
Right.
Yes.
So, well, unfortunately, we have to go now, but I just want to say thank you to you. Thank
Thank you,
you
Jennifer.
so
Really
much,
appreciate it.
Zhayynn.
Thank
I
you.
really do appreciate, and I think we have a lovely book here. I haven't read it yet. I've just begun to, but it's really pretty fascinating, especially if you have a little bit of interest in history and in something that is old and mostly forgotten. But I wish you all the best.
Thank you
I
so
wish
much.
you a very successful career as an author. You've hit it all in everything else, you know, in the landscape, art, architecture, in the karate and everything else. So I think
Thank
this
you.
is the last bastion left for you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you.
much indeed. And through you, I do want to congratulate your wife for her encouragement and what she did to get you to this point. Don't ever
Absolutely.
forget it.
No, never will.
Well, thank you very much for listening to us today. And I hope that you've enjoyed listening to him, because I think Shane has had a wonderful story to tell me. And I do love bringing you these kind of stories because truly they're so inspiring. So until the next time, you take care. Bye for now.